morning, everyone, and welcome back to Gun Roving Ranch. My name is Anya, and I'm here with Captains Clark and Captains Lewis. And Brandon Carpenter, our trainer, is live with us as well. And it looks like we're going to be doing some driving with these ponies. Good morning, Brandon. How are you today?
Hi, Anya. Good morning. Yeah, it looks like you guys are all well coiffed. Everybody's mane, including yours, is all pulled back like it should be, ready for some harness.
All right, great.
No, it's good. This is good to see.
The ponies are more groomed than I am.
There you go. Yeah, look at me. My grooming is very, very simple. It's called soap and water. Let it dry. Well, show us what you're doing with your harnessing and how they're doing, and just explain your way through it as you're doing it. Can we do that?
Absolutely, we sure can. So I'll start out here with Clark. And so what I'll start out with here is this collar. They each have this collar that they wear around their neck. So we just unstrap it on one side and it pops open like this. I hope you all can see that. Oh boy, Clark. And these guys are really used to it. So I just pop it over his neck and then I rebuckle it. And so Brandon was telling me in one of our earlier sessions that actually for horses where the collar is big enough, you don't even have to unbuckle them. You can fit them right over their head and kind of slide it on. But for these guys, I still unbuckle it and rebuckle it once it's sitting on their necks.
Yeah, their necks are pretty small. Their heads are small, but yeah, it's probably much faster where you're at the way you're doing it, isn't it?
And it's kind of what I've gotten used to since that's, how you started me out. So I'm a creature of habit. I stick with what works. So next here, I have this whole harness. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was just going to say we're all kind of creatures of habit, and it's tough to once you've done something and it works for you, it's like, oh, why would I want to do that if it's the same result? So totally normal.
Exactly. I agree, and maybe that's part of becoming older. I feel like when I was younger, I was more flexible and adaptable, but as I'm getting older, I'm kind of stuck in my ways.
Well, let's unstick you.
So here I have this whole harness, and what I do is I pile it onto my arm in the order, in reverse order of how I'm going to put it on the pony. So that way I can now just move from the front to the back. So I've got the hames here, which are these metal bars. The hames sit on the collar, so I just set those on the collar. We always make sure we don't lean those on the horse's bareback. We want to, just because that metal, that can be a little uncomfortable. And then I can go through and just kind of let each piece fall off of my hand, off of my arm, onto the pony. And very quickly here, we see that it all just kind of falls in place super easily. And that's a trick, again, that Brandon taught me. So thank you for that, Brandon. It makes it so simple. If you store your harness in a proper order, you can pick it up off that hook, lay it onto your arm, go up to your horse, and then in reverse order, you drop all that right onto your horse. And now, the biggest part of the job is already done for me.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of stuff to do, and it is, and it can be a tangled mess, but yeah, picking that up orderly, keeping it straight, it makes it short work to harness and unharness, and then hang it up like it should be, and it's minutes instead of many minutes to straighten something out.
Absolutely. So now what I'm doing is, the hames sit on the rail here. There's a groove where they need to sit in. At the bottom here, there's this hames chain. In our case, it's not a chain, it's a strap that we use, and we really want to crank that to keep that. Excuse me. I think I just choked on a bug. So we really want to tighten that to make sure that hames sits well on that collar. And from there, I go ahead through here. I have that belly strap, which on these guys, because they lost a lot of weight over the last few years, it's a little looser than we'd like. But, this belly strap isn't like with a saddle horse. It doesn't need to be super tight because it's not holding a saddle or anything down. It's just kind of helping to keep everything in place.
Yes, absolutely right. Now, one thing about that hames strap.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anya.
I was going to say, so then we keep talking at the same time. I'm sorry about that.
That's my fault. I keep wanting to interject there about that hame strap you talked about. That's so important to make sure that that is just as tight as you can get it, where it sits down in the groove behind the forewheel and the aft wheel of that collar, so that it doesn't pop off when you are in draft and when that horse is pushing into that collar or pulling the load.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's why I said, I'm really cranking that strap on the bottom. And I actually had that experience. I didn't have it tight enough. In one of our previous sessions, the pony split up and that hames popped right off the collar. So I learned the hard way that I wasn't tightening it enough. So now I really crank that sucker tight.
Sometimes those little failures like that are what make you learn forever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now I've got these quarter straps here that go underneath our pony or our horse. And on a saddle horse, a lot of times we wear a breastplate. So we have a similar situation here. I think it's called a false breastplate. So it goes underneath the belly, and these quarter straps here in the back from the spider. The spider is our ring here that kind of like a joint that brings everything together, and that connects down here to the quarter straps down to this false breastplate. So we have all that hooked up. We've got our breeching here coming to the back. And there we go. So it looks like Clark is pretty much ready. Now I have all these long reins here, lines when we're driving. So I'm just going to loop these up and hang them on the hames so that those aren't getting tangled while I move over to work on Lewis. Do you have any comments for me before I move on, Brandon?
No, keep on going, and I'll just talk while you're moving a little bit. And that is, some of these terms are very different depending on where you're at in the which part of the country. And all of these harnesses, again, we've mentioned this before, many of them are very different in their configuration. And to illustrate that, we don't have a crooper, for instance, on these harnesses, which go from the top of the back pad ring, that's the top of the spider, down underneath of their tail. And some of them don't have a breechin, they have just a crooper. So it just depends on what you're looking at. Many of them just have a belly band and which is put on a little bit tighter because they don't have a collar. And some of the times, if they do have a collar, you won't have the hames quite like you do with the top of the hames with the balls on top. You just have a hames that just sits over the top. So there's all kinds of different configurations, and there are different vernacular or different terms for some of the things. So it's when you call something one thing doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's something different from some other part of the area. So, which is, there's no one single way in which to do any of this. It is all very, very much about what you learned and the area you learned it. And, for instance, a good one to talk about is what you're pulling in there. You've got your hame strap was pretty universal. I've not seen that called many different things other than a hame strap. The part that goes underneath between their front legs and up under above the belly band, sometimes you call that a pole strap, sometimes a breast a martingale, a breast collar martingale. I mean, there's all kinds of different names for things, but they all do the same thing. It's basically to help provide some holdback against that collar when you're pulling on your quarter straps that are coming forward that you hooked in all under that ring under the belly.
Absolutely.
Now,
pole strap, that's a new one. I have not heard that one.
Yep, the pole strap. Well, we talked about that. It's almost like we're married. You didn't listen.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to deny that happened.
Oh, fun. Yes, see, this is how we get to have fun with each other. This is good.
Oh, it's so fun.
Now
All right, I'm not walking away from you all. I'm just going to go grab their bridles and get them bridled up here.
Now there's a good spot. James is zeroing in on the strap for the traces. There's the chains that are hooked onto the spider there, or sometimes they're called a back loin strap that goes forward. Now the name is escaping me. The other one I'm used to, but anyway, that heel chain goes and attaches to the end of your trace, and that trace, you can see how it curves down, and then it's going through a loop. And that loop, I've always known it as a trace loop, and others another name for it. Yeah, that one right there with the spots on it, that loop right there is called a lazy strap by some people too. So another term that's just different. So we're kind of hitting that and beating that to death, but it's so true that there are so many different types of names or different vernacular for it. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just a little bit different. And sometimes we're saying the same thing, but speaking a different language. So, oh, look at that. He's good. He's ready to go. He's a happy boy.
Oh, what a good boy.
And isn't this fun, Anya? Isn't this just a kick in the pants?
Oh, it's so fun. And you had asked in the earlier conversation if I'd had the opportunity to take them out and practice a little bit, outside of our broadcast. And actually, I did yesterday. I got these boys hitched up, and Cherie, my coworker here at the ranch, she came along with me, and we took them for a jaunt down the road and into our winter pasture and drove around in there. And, we were just grinning and laughing. It's so fun. I am getting so hooked on this.
Oh, yeah. It is a kick in the pants. And I don't do it near enough. And I'm so busy right now in the middle of, breeding cattle, getting animals moved pasture to pasture. I got a couple of saddle horses I'm working. And so my chance to get this done by the end of the day is nil. But once I get this one colt done and he's finished, now I'm going to start getting some of our own horses back into some harness and doing the same thing and playing with them. And I'll go check water and maybe drop off mineral and salt and stuff to some of the cows.
Oh, fun.
Using some of these horses. Yeah, it'll be good to do that. So, we don't do this very much. So when you get a chance to, it's like, it's fun and new and novel. And that for me, that new and novel just doesn't wear off. All right.
Absolutely.
Now tell us what you're going to do with these lines.
All right, so I've got them both bridled up. I'm moving Lewis a little closer so that I can get their lines connected. And so this is something that was actually very new to me when I first started driving these guys, is learning how to connect the lines, or as we would call on a saddle horse, the reins. Because for this part, we actually connect the two ponies together. Come on, Lulu, move over. So how that works is, here I have these lines, and when I'm in the cart, the line that's connected to Lewis right now would be my left rein. So how this works is, I have the lines right here. Right now they're still connected to the saddles. I'm going to connect the left side to Lewis's left bit. So here we go. I'm going to the left ring on his bit. And then now here's the unique part. So the line that right now is connected to the right side of Lewis's harness, this line actually will go to the left ring on Clark's bit. So I'm still going through this loop right here. Hang on, let me get this ring out. Still going through this ring. I have a second ring here, and now I'm connecting it to Clark's ring, left side of his bit. So now, if I'm back here steering in the cart, if I pull on this line, it's going to put pressure on both of their left side of their bridles. So that's how I would turn them both left. And I'm going to do the same with the line here that's dangling on Clark right now, except now, both of these are going to be connected to the rings on the right side of each pony's bit. That way, if I'm driving, This right here, this line will be in my right hand, this one in my left. So I pull on this left one. It's putting pressure on both ponies on their left side. This one's putting pressure on their right side. So that is how I can turn them, and they are moving in sync with each other.
Very well explained. Very well explained. And those just cross, when they cross from one side to the other, that is your cross lines. And that goes through, you can either leave it where it is without anything, or you can see a little bit of a ring below Anya's hands that they... I
don't know if you can see that here. I'm trying to pick it up.
Yeah, she just put both of those.
You'll be able to see it more once we get them hitched up.
Yes. And then that ring that she just put her hand on, that she's going to show them how you go through that, that's called a terret, a rein terret. And it's right at her elbow.
Rein terret right here.
And it goes through it, and that's on either one of those. Very good. And so it still goes through those, even though they're crossed, those lines cross between them, so that you can control left on both of them and right on both of them, or G and Ha. Right is G, Ha is left.
Yes.
And keeps those animals the same. And then she's going to get herself ready, and we will hitch these guys up, and then we're going to go for a little bit of a little jog here. We're going to do something with these guys. One of the most important things that we would need to remember is safety is the absolute most important thing, because even though these are ponies, they can still have a runaway with you like a large horse can. So it's all about control. You need to have control of these animals in order to be safe. So I talked with Anya a little bit about them going out the other day, like she said, and they were a little bit anxious when she got off the wagon to open a gate. So we're going to work on making sure that we can control them. We're going to have some guests next week, I think it is, isn't it? When some of Suzanne's relatives are showing up. And we're going to be...
so next week, Monday, we're going to... Yeah, next week, Monday, we're actually going to use what we've been practicing in a real setting with some guests that'd like to go for a little wagon ride.
That will be fun. It's always fun to show somebody who's never done it before. That's what's up. It's like going fishing, and it's fun to fish. But when you see somebody catch their first fish, that's a fun one too. All right.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm ready to see if I can move these guys over to the wagon. Here, get them over to the cart, making sure all my lines are good. Okay, boys. Come on, Lewis, step up. I'm going to take a big wide circle here. And what I do with these guys, and this is the reason I keep Clark on the right-hand side, is I'm going to walk up next to my cart here, and then I'm going to ask Clark to step over to get into place. I found for me personally, this is easier than asking them to back onto the cart. Come on, boys. Good boy, Clark. And who? And who? And Lewis here has a hard time figuring out that he's supposed to move in, so I haven't figured out yet how to get him in there without me having to physically move him into place. But, it's a work in progress. I think they're better than their job than I am, but it's been pretty interesting.
He's just being a little bit, go ahead and make me. But, yeah, that first pony stepping over that tongue like that, or pole, again, another term, that's fantastic, very good. And that's the way they should hitch. We want to make them back so that they have the discipline, but there's no reason they can't step over that as a pair like this. And the only thing I would have you do, see, I saw you had to really push on him to push him over, is when you do that, just use the fingertips. Just touch him and tap him and make him move. Yeah. I
agree with it. I don't know why I wouldn't do that with him, because that's what I would do with a larger horse, have them give to the slight pressure.
Well, I think it's probably size related. It's like, I can move this guy.
Exactly, yeah. I can muscle them, so I didn't even consider to treat them how I would a large horse that I can't muscle.
Right, because they are the same. Look at her go. She's got the neck yoke hooked up, and she's pulling the trace, the heel. Those are heel chains she's hooking up off of each side.
Yep, so these are the traces here. that hook onto each single tree.
Yes.
Tuck these reins up here.
Very nice. And we're taking some time on this one because we're going to back up a little bit. And we thought, you know what? Let's show you exactly what she can do with the harnessing and explain that again a little bit more in detail. And then we're going to do this. And we may not come back to this again. We won't maybe necessarily need to, but it just shows, look how quick she can do this on her own and doing a really good job. And the more you do it, of course, the faster and better you get at it. And now,
absolutely,
guess what? Now it's time for the fun. And she wasn't checking her Facebook status there. We're actually broadcasting through her cell phone so that we can hear. So for those that are going, geez, she can't take her hands off her cell phone. That's why. It's not that.
No, I apologize. I was making sure that's how I'm connected to this Zoom call and checking the time. I was more curious for myself. How long did it take me to get these guys hitched up? So
yeah, how long was it? Did you note it?
Yeah, so it was actually just over 15 minutes.
Yep. And if you were not distracted by me talking and we're talking things over and explaining it, I'll bet you could have shaved another 3-4 minutes off of that.
I think so too. I mean, I'll be honest, I think yesterday it went a little bit quicker because I didn't have to pause and explain anything. I just went through it, went through the steps, got them harnessed up, had them on the wagon. Definitely in under 15 minutes.
Yep. No, that's very good. And really this harnessing, I don't think is any different for these little guys, except that you can reach them a little easier. You don't have to reach as high, and the harness is a little lighter. So that will slow you down on a large couple of ponies put into a pair like this, but not bad. It's not bad at all. It's fair. It's the same thing, just a little bit smaller and lighter and easier to reach. So now what we're going to do is just going to go around a little bit, and we're going to work on our control, right? Because we want to make sure that these guys can stop. How are they on their stopping?
Yes. So that actually wasn't too bad right there. It took a lot more when I had them out in the field in the winter pasture. They were a little more go-y. They had a lot of get up and go out in the field. So this was a lot easier, but I also wasn't using the brake too much in the pasture. I was using it, more when we were on an incline or going downhill, but I think I need to practice using my brake to encourage them to stop better.
Yeah, by doing that, use it as a tool to have them move and then stop, but ask them to stop first, just as you would, or what I like to do with a normal saddle horse is I ask them with my voice, and then I will pull back on the rein, and then I will set my body down. And so the same thing here, I would ask them with my voice as you're asking them with the rein or your lines. And if they don't comply within about a second, count of 1,001, then start to apply your foot brake and make it harder for them to pull. Okay. And then they're going to go, oh, when she says, whoa, if we don't stop, then it's going to be harder to pull. We might as well stop. So you're conditioning that brain.
Sounds good. So let me get my line out of the way and get my foot on the brake. Let me get. Good boys. Good boys.
Not bad. Okay, have a go forward. And let's just keep practicing this. And if you do this a couple, 2-3 more times, is there a place you can take them out of the arena?
Yeah, absolutely. I can take them down the road a little bit here where we went last week.
And now you can start, if you've driven them a little bit, how long did you drive them during the week?
So yesterday we were probably out there for about 45 minutes.
Okay. And were you starting to trot them at all?
Oh yeah, we did quite a bit of trotting out in the field. So, and that was the one thing I would ask them to ease down to a walk, and they would walk for a few steps, but then try to trot again. And I think they realized once they had that momentum going, it seemed like it was easier for them to pull than to pull at a walk. Does that make sense, or is that not correct at all?
Well, I think the word you used, momentum, is exactly right. It's, once you get something in motion, it's easier to keep it in motion. So that's exactly right.
So yeah, I mean, they really wanted to go. I had them trotting around that field, and I practiced from a trot, slowing them to the walk, trying to be very consistent that if I asked them to walk, I kept them at a walk until I gave them the command to start trotting again. Because they definitely had the habit of slowing to a walk for a few steps and then trying to speed up to a trot again.
Okay. And I see we still have, is it Lewis that is?
Yep, Lewis Dragon.
So he's the one on the offside on the right side is he's being lazy. It doesn't look like it because he's in the lead, but it's actually easier to pull when he's in the lead. So we need to, and we can work on that. And by doing that, we can actually shorten his lines a little bit so that when you pull, he gets affected first and makes him pull back a little bit and more in line with your near side horse. Okay.
Okay. G, boys.
Good go. Very good. And on those turns, it's a little deceptive in the camera. You're going to have one horse that's on that inside turn. He's going to be, ahead a little bit, just like on a track field. The one on the outside is going to lag. But when you pull out of that in the lead, then they should be even again. And
should I use my who, boys, who?
You were going to ask if you should use your whip to just kind of encourage your near side horse a little bit. And I would just touch him, just make him pull up there a little bit better. But you're actually having him go faster instead of modulate your other horse back a little bit. So we may have to adjust the reins, and we can do that next time and work on that as well, where we're adjusting those lines a little bit, where you're making him be a little bit shorter in his reining, or when you pull that rein on your right, you're pulling him, or on both sides, you're pulling him first because his rein is shorter than the one on the left. And that way you're holding him back without affecting your other horse. And that's why you should have some buckles.
That would be great, because right now, if I'm trying to pull him back, it makes my pair here try to turn.
Yes.
So I think that would be a good idea to shorten his rein slightly.
Yep, and we can look at that. You're gonna have to shorten the one on both sides, or we'll have to adjust them because it's not intuitive either. You have to think about, okay, if I'm moving this one, I have to move this one.
The crossover.
Right.
Yes.
So let's give him a little. Do you feel like going a little speed there, and then pick him up into a trot, and then have him slow down like you were doing? Because I think that slowing to a walk is very, very good, and then to a stop. You don't need to be going with a sudden stop on that wagon, because then you're going to shift all that weight and momentum. It's always better to do it controlled. Not that they can't do that, but it's always better when you've got passengers to keep things way, way controlled.
Yeah. Gee, boys. All right. Come on, boys. Good boys. Lewis is still flagging there. And walk. And walk. Easy. Good boys. Gee. And who. Good boys. Good boys. Oh, using that brake has definitely helped. I tell them, I give them the rein, and shortly after, I don't compress the brakes fully, but I definitely start adding pressure to it, and it does get them, I think they've already started picking up that they need to slow down faster.
Very good. Yes. Yeah. And being controlled on that brake is really good, because you're gonna make them pull hard, and they're gonna start resisting that. And so that's very, very good.
All right, we're going to change the direction here.
Anya, you're doing great. Very, very good.
Thank you, Brandon. I mean, I'm just having a ball here. This is great.
Isn't it amazing some of the fun things you get to do and get paid for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that every day. I can't believe how fortunate I am that this is my job. Boys. Good boys. Good boys.
So if you feel inclined, you can go ahead and donate your wages to me. I mean, if it's that fun,
Easy and walk. Good boys. I wish I was in a position to do that. Unfortunately, I have bills to pay. Good boys. No, just walk. Easy, boys. Good.
And you're probably
All right,
watching.
now let's go.
Yeah, see how that inside, that horse on the left or your near side, for those that are watching, was a little bit ahead in that turn.
He's lagging behind.
Yeah, and he's on a turn, so they're going to do that. But it's on those straightaways we want him even. It looks like you got him pretty even right now.
I'm trying my best. It's still a bit tricky. Keep it going.
Good. Nice. I like that. A little higher speed.
Good boy.
Nice little pass.
And walk. And walk.
Very good.
Good boys. Good boys. Keep it going, Lulu. And ho. Ho.
All right.
Good boys. Such good boys.
All right. I love this.
And I've got my co-pilot here.
And I saw that. We need to put some spots on him and make him a Dalmatian. I know she told him to load up. He knew exactly where to go. He's all about this also. Well, hey, let's do this. Let's finish up.
She's a girl.
We're about done. Or she, sorry. Can you go out and run down the road and trot them down? And then this time, let's trot them all the way down, turn them around, and trot them back and in. And I think we're going to be about done.
Okay.
We've used all of our time, and I'm sure you're going to probably take them out a little bit later or throughout the week and condition them a little bit.
Okay.
They look fantastic. It almost looks to me like their hips are a little fuller. It looks like they're starting to gain a little weight with maybe some exercise.
Yeah, so I've been making sure to take it nice and easy with them and slowly build them up, get some conditioning in there, hoping to build up that muscle. And I've also adjusted their diet to compensate for this extra work that they're doing. So I'm hoping that'll help them build up that muscle a little bit. Good boys. Oh, Shiver already loaded back up. She knows it's time to go for another little jaunt here.
I wish I was with her. I'd be happy to sit back there. What the heck? And I like how Anya took the lines and she tied them up onto that dashboard just through the iron there, and just to kind of keep those lines out of the way. And she I was trying to keep those ponies from doing what they want to do and taking off. But this is really good. I like it. You're doing great. And what I'd like to see you do is go ahead and trot them all the way up without stopping. And then on the way back, I'll tell you when I want you to stop, but we'll go up, because normally we don't trot these horses or run them going home right off the bat. You certainly don't with a saddle horse. And same. Oh, nice. Look at them. They're moving together nicely. Very good. And so
good boy.
They're a little more even. And
yeah, they're getting there. They're figuring it out. I think, maybe I'm figuring it out.
Clark is still a little bit in the lead, but it's not bad. You're getting there. So what we like to do is have them be controlled, and that's what we're going to work on. We're going to trot them back. Anya's going to go all the way up to that turnaround where we really can't see her too well, but we'll know which way she's turning by the command she gives them. And then on the way back, when we can see her, we're going to have you trotting them back, and then let's take them down to a stop as quickly as you can, control in a controlled manner. We'll see how they stop.
Ha, boys. Ha.
And for those that have been watching, that is a left turn. She turned them around to the left.
Yes, I sure did. All right, boys, let's go. Good boy.
We'll pick you up.
All right, I should be coming back into view in just a moment here. I'm coming out from behind the trees shortly.
There, we see you. See that movement there? And then when we get about midway there, when you get to about the front of that car that's parked off to the side there, now we're in full view, and we're going to get past this tree. Now, at your leisure, let's go ahead and stop those guys.
From a trot into a stop?
Into a stop, yep.
Let's go ahead and boys. Oh, boys.
Very good.
Good boys.
Nice.
Good boys.
Very nice. So what we're conditioning for there is that in case these guys run away. Now we earlier we said let's just nice, slow, controlled from a trot to a walk. But we also want these guys to go from a run to a stop. And so and this is nothing more than just to test their control. And that was pretty darn good, not bad at all. And they're separating when they're back.
They're getting a little antsy, and who?
Yep. And again, they're wanting to go home, and this is part of the issue that we can make happen. They go, oh, we want to keep going, and so we need to stop, make them stand, just like you're doing. Just talk to them, tell them, good boys. And
good boys, easy.
Yeah, praise them when they're doing what you want. They're backing up. You're not doing this. That's them, right?
That's them, yes.
Yes, correct.
No.
And then he's pushing.
Walk up and who. So is that correct? So when I saw Clark was kind of trying to step sideways and kicking at his strap there, so I asked him to just take a step forward to straighten him out and then asked him to stop again. Was that okay, or how should I handle that if he's fidgety?
Yes, that's what I would have done as well, Anya, because he was almost trying to pick up and step his leg over that trace. And you don't want him, you want him in between those traces. And so how are you going to straighten his hind end out? That's exactly how. Just drive him a little forward. And he knows what he's doing.
Okay, good boys.
They're just being a little bit antsy. So now that they've stood and they're really fairly quiet, now we can move them off. And let's go ahead and take them home. And then you can put them away for the day.
Good boys. All right. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Absolutely. No, and I'd say when you can put them away from the date, actually, we're just kind of done with our portion of this. And I think Suzanne and I will be visiting here in a moment. But you're probably going to take them out again, I would imagine, and play some more or continue now. And that's awesome. That's great. Keep it up. You're doing great. And your intuition about what to do is right. One of the things we can do is
Thank you so much, Brandon.
Oh yeah, we got to work on one thing also with them. I see when we back up or when they back up, they want to split apart. We may need to work on that. We can do that with a little bit of a short piece of rope and help them out to stay a little bit more disciplined together.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something that I'm giving them the wrong cues, but I do struggle with that when they stand still or when they back up, they kind of split apart, and I'm not really sure what to do at that point in time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we'll work on, and we'll get to that, and it's going to be a little trick that we'll try later on, but we'll do that next time. And I'm not sure if Suzanne is ready. Maybe James, our technical director here, who makes all of this happen behind the scenes, if he can tell us whether we're ready or not.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Anya. Good job. Bye-bye, everybody.